This is the big question, isn't it? That feeling of being tired right down to your bones, it just doesn't add up. It's confusing, it's frustrating, and for way too many of us, it's just become normal.
Exactly. This huge gap between what you've physically done and how you feel, it points to something else, an invisible drain on your energy that's happening in all those little moments you barely even notice. Does this sound at all familiar? You wake up and you're already tired. The first thing you do is grab your phone, and suddenly an hour is gone. You try to get to work, but it feels like your brain is wading through thick mud. You just can't grab onto a single thought. Then, after a whole day of feeling like you got nothing done, you just collapse, totally spent. This right here is where we have to flip the script. We tell ourselves we're lazy or unmotivated or just plain burned out. But the reality? That's not a character flaw. It's your brain desperately trying to keep up with constant task switching. It's a maxed out cognitive load. It's what happens when you get absolutely zero mental rest. This isn't on you, it's a system overload. Okay, so let's dig into the science of what's really going on inside your head. And this is the most important part. This has nothing to do with willpower. This is about biology. This is the simple, fundamental truth of it all. Our brains evolved over thousands and thousands of years in a world where information was scarce. They're incredibly powerful, for sure, but they were never, ever built to handle the non-stop flood of information we face every single second of every day. We're basically running ancient hardware on an impossibly modern operating system. And this is that fire hose of information. Every ping from your phone, every buzz, every new post you scroll past, every breaking news alert, it's all aimed directly at your brain, and every single drop of it demands a little piece of your attention. And that brings us to the main villain of this story, cognitive load. You know, the easiest way to think about it is like the RAM on your computer, your working memory. Every single thing you process, from an email to a TikTok, uses up a little bit of that RAM. And here's the kicker, every time you switch from one task to another, it costs a ton of mental energy. The thing is, for most of us, most of the time, that cognitive load is just redlining. It's at 100%. We're always switching, always processing, always reacting. There's just no downtime. Your brain's operating system is completely overloaded, and that's the real reason for that brain fog and exhaustion you feel. Living in this state of constant overload, it leads to a pretty powerful realization, because the solution isn't what we've all been told. It's not about some fancy time management hack or just being more disciplined. There's a secret here, a truth that no one really talks about, and it can change everything. And this is the trap we all fall into. The overload makes it impossible to focus. And because you can't focus, you get less done. And because you get less done, you blame yourself. You think, I just need to try harder, which just adds more pressure and pulls you deeper into that vicious cycle. But here it is. This is the single most important idea I want you to walk away with. The real reason you're so exhausted isn't what you think it is. Your brain isn't tired because you did so much. It's tired because you never gave it a single moment of real, true silence. Think about it. Even our downtime, like scrolling on our phones or watching TV, that's just more input. It's more stimulation, not restoration. We've completely forgotten what it feels like to just let our minds be still. So, how do we break the cycle? How do we get that energy and focus back? This is the good part. This is where we stop just understanding the problem and start actually taking control of the solution. This is your new mantra, seriously. Stop trying to find more motivation or more discipline or more hustle. The answer isn't about adding more stuff. It's about subtraction. The goal is to intentionally, strategically cut out the noise.
Okay, let's get super practical. Here are 3 simple, but I'm not going to say easy, steps to start rewiring your brain. First, protect the first 30 minutes of your day. No phone. Don't just dump the world's chaos into your brain the second you wake up. Second, practice single tasking. Pick one thing and do only that thing. Close all the other tabs. Put your phone in another room. And third, take real breaks. Stare out a window. Go for a short walk. Let your brain actually idle instead of just feeding it more content.
Now, don't underestimate how powerful these small changes are. They might seem minor, but what you're really doing is performing a fundamental reset on your brain's operating system. You're teaching it how to focus again, you're lowering that baseline cognitive load, and that's what creates the space for clarity and energy to finally come back. So, what's the payoff here?
What actually happens when you start giving your brain the rest it's been screaming for? Let's paint a quick picture of that.
Imagine waking up and your mind just feels clear, not cloudy. Imagine sitting down to do something and actually finishing it without fighting off 1,000 distractions. Imagine feeling like you are in control of your attention again, not your phone. And maybe most important of all, imagine getting to the end of the day and still having energy left over for yourself, for your family, for your life. And here's the best part. This isn't some new person you have to invent. That clear, focused, energetic version of you is already in there. It's just been buried under all the digital noise and constant stimulation. All we're trying to do is clear away some of that rubble. So here's the final thought. The one thing I want you to remember when you wake up tomorrow. Just resist that instinct to push harder, to add more to your to-do list, to try and force yourself to be productive. Instead, do less, but do it with focus. Pick one thing, give it your full undivided attention. Because in that quiet space, that's where you're going to find your energy again. That's where you'll find yourself again.